dedicate this shiur to the refuah shlema of Rivka bat Geula Elka.
Also,
Yes, go ahead.
also, Shena Golda bat Sima.
Shena Golda bat Sima shav refuah shlema.
Nechama bat Sarah Ita.
Nechama bat Sarah Ita shav refuah shlema, and Esther Chaya Batzil, of course, refuah shlema. Kol Yishuv, we should hear b'sorot tumot from everybody. The Chatufim should come home. The war should end in full victory for Am Yisrael. It's the week of Netzach, so Be'ezrat Hashem.
Amen.
There will be full nitzachon, and refuot, and yeshuot, and smachot. So we're continuing with Emma Banim Smecha, and I'm just going according to my marker that was in my book, and we're on chapter 3, but like the subsection 64. Samech Dalet. Is that what you have? I don't know if the ones who were, did you keep markers in your book? I'm just going to go for it. Ginny, you're muted, so I can't hear what you're saying. You're still muted.
I hadn't brought the Sefer to Israel, so I don't know. So when
you're in Israel?
No, I was. Sadly, no, I'm back here.
Oh.
That's why I had you started last week on Rosh Hashanah. It doesn't matter. I'll be back soon.
Be'ezrat Hashem will be wonderful to see you.
Yeah.
Okay, so whatever it is, that's where my marker was. That's where we're continuing. Samech Dalet. Okay. He's telling us to look in a book called Beit Rebbe LeRabbeinu Balatanya. And he brings up there a few inyanim concerning the war. Shaya as Bismano, the war that was happening at his time. Don't ask me that history. I have no idea which war that is. Okay. Oh, Napoleon Wars, of course. It's the Napoleon Wars. He says it right here. Napoleon Wars with Russia, against Russia. And then we learned from there also, from our time, how kingdoms, empires, countries fight one with the other. And they use the whole matter of propaganda. Now, the matter of propaganda came up already in the book. We spoke about it. Okay, there's a whole office devoted to propaganda. To each side has their agenda set out, publicized to sway public opinion through all kinds of ads, posters, flyers, all kinds of things, all kinds of usages of all kinds of medias to promote their cause. And what's the whole Indian of propaganda? To capture the hearts of the masses for their cause. And that's what propaganda does. So too, we have to learn that to capture the hearts of the masses to this holy task, this holy work, this high elevated work of returning Am Yisrael to wanting to come back to Eretz Yisrael and building the land. There's no greater and bigger cause to use propaganda for. We have to we have to not only that, but who should be at the head of the propaganda, of the cheerleading team for the side of the good, of coming back to Eretz Yisrael and the kedusha of it. This has to be Anashim Gdolim, the leaders of the nations, the heads of the leader of the people. Those who have true knowledge, true understanding, and are also filled with Yirat Hashem. That's very key, right? And all kinds of talents and abilities that they possess within them of leadership to enlighten the eyes of the nation, of the holy nation, that it is their obligation, what their obligation is concerning settling the land of Eretz Yisrael, and to awaken with them tremendous yearning and love to raise the horn of Israel and to raise it from the dust, to establish it again from the dust. So that already is something that Balatanya said concerning the wars of Napoleon and Russia. Okay, and then we're learning from this. And he's bringing also from Sefer Devei Eliyahu, that from there we also learn, Misham, from Devei Eliyahu we learn, that we learn something about this, שדבר כזה שרי ללמוד, אשר משם יש ללמוד, שדבר כזה שרי ללמוד מהם, שרי ללמוד מהם ומנהיגיהם. Yeah, that the ministers and the leaders, the people in leadership roles, have to learn from this more than anybody else, because they have to be in the lead of this type of talk, speech, movement, propaganda for this movement. And also what he found in this book from Baal Tanya, it's a book about stories about the Baal Tanya. There is brought up, you know what? You know who the initiator, who knew also about this in his time, to use propaganda, in other words, talking to people's hearts to get them to do something that really is good for them? This is Elkanah. We didn't do this yet, right? This is all new. Somehow it's sounding familiar to me, but no. No, the husband of Hannah and Pnina. Yeah, Elkanah, the husband of Hannah, the father of Shmuel Hanavi. And people in his time, this is in the book of Shmuel, right at the end. No, yeah. Yeah, Shmuel.
Or could it be in?
No, it's Shmuel. No, it's the beginning of Shmuel. The story of Hannah, because that's how we open up Shmuel Aleph, and we read about Hannah. Now,
We saw the tefillah, we went to the.
right. Okay, so what is he going to say? He's going to say that, I'm going to add, just to flesh out a little bit of the history of his time there, that Shmuel Aleph followed the Tkufa of the Shoftim. And the Shoftim, the book of Judges, you look at it, it's like, and vey, what's going on? Don't they get? I remember learning in grade 5, and every time I came across like, vey, don't they see what's coming? Every time they get off the path, they sin against Hashem. They want to be more like the Goyim. Then Hashem sends them an enemy, and then he sends them a judge to get them to do tshuva, and then they get back online, in line. They do tshuva, and of course they become victorious over their enemies until 40 years pass, and they fall into their forgetfulness, and they go back into their old ways, and the whole cycle repeats itself. And it's a very painful book to read, because you're reading it with our vantage point, like, don't they see, haven't they learned from history? Don't they see that it just happened? Now you're going to happen again. But this is it. People in time, even in short spans of time, like 40 years, forget.
History
Now
repeats
it's
itself.
78 years.
Because history repeats
because
itself.
because history repeats itself. And I heard on Arutz 14, okay, on Channel 14, which is a right-wing news venue, kind of, not right-wing enough for you.
Not much of baby.
No, it's not. That's more Tov, right? Tov 12. That's where he is.
No, this is on Shidduch.
And he has his own shidduch. In any case, somebody on the panel there suggested people are forgetting about October 7 already, and they have to make a point of maybe, like, it was proposing to the Arutz, to the Channel 14, to bring mini clips, short, not to remind us what October 7 was, not to leave for our hearts to be the implication of what that is. People are just forgetting, and the agenda is not as it should be on people's minds anymore. And people are talking again about, they're slipping into like
Anarchy.
It's anarchy, but like, maybe we can work. Maybe there can be an iska. What's an iska in English? An agreement, a deal with Hamas. And you're forgetting that they're monsters. People are forgetting. So that's not even 2 years yet. Is it 2 years? It's not. It's coming on 2 years. It's a year and a half. Insane. So what he's saying here is that Elkanah, and Hannah, they gave birth to Shmuel Hanavi, which was the renewal of proper leadership in Israel following the whole period of the Shoftim, which was a disaster. And with Shmuel came kingship. He was the one who anointed Shaul HaMelech and anointed David HaMelech. But he, as a leader, as a Navi that was equal to Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, all put together, leading the nation, he put the nation back on track in a strong way. And why did Elkanah and Hannah merit such a son, such a gewalt of a son of a Shmuel Navi? Because they saw the low spiritual level of the people of their time, and also the corruption of the Kohanim in the Mishkan of the time, that people stopped going on Aliyah L'Regel, on Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, when you're supposed to go to the Mishkan, because there was no Beit HaMikdash yet, so they had to go there. And the Kohanim were just corrupt. They took sacrifices from people, but they extorted people, and they left them waiting overnight to hear judgment, because that's one of the things that they needed to do. People have issues, they come, they want to have their matter settled in a beis din there. And there was a lot of corruption, so people stopped trusting the leadership and stopped going. So what are we going to go for? There are a bunch of corrupt people in the leadership roles there. And Elkanah says, people are stopping to do the mitzvah of Aliyah L'Regel. And he was able to separate the corrupt leadership from the mitzvah of, you still have to go to the Mishkan. You still have to do what you have to do. And so how did he get the people to arouse the hearts of the people to come to Aliyah L'Regel? Because he and Hannah never gave it up. They decided every time there's an Aliyah L'Regel, there's going to go on a different route. And they're going to go with banners and simcha and speaking to the hearts of the people. We're going to Shiloh. We're going to the Mishkan. We're going Aliyah L'Regel. It's a gewalt. Come join us. They did the propaganda that he's talking about here, and it worked, because every time they went, they were able to arouse the hearts of the people, and I don't know how many masses of people went, but they were able to collect people that wouldn't have otherwise gone up to the Mishkan to go to do this mitzvah. And every time they would go, they would choose a different route to arouse the hearts of different communities to spread the message. Amazing. So this is an example of Elkanah understanding the virtue of doing this type of propaganda, of getting to the people and speaking to them and bringing excitement to them and bringing them onto the cause. And who knows, and this is probably like the Mefarshim say, that's why they merited to have a son like Shmuel and Navi. It's beautiful. So now, after he said this, and so this is what I told you over about Elkanah is found in the book Tana Devel Yahu. Yeah, okay, right. So from here we learn, so Rav Tertel just brings his own conclusion that from here we learn this concept of Arangeseinten, Aranas, I don't know, Yiddish. Ergazikaten. I don't know. Propaganda. That word we understand. Organizing. I guess irgun here. I see the word irgun again. Organization, organizing, and bring propaganda. Ledavar shebikdusha, for matters that have to do with kedusha, from the leadership. It has to be the leadership, because what we see is that everybody's doing it, but it's the leadership, as Elkanah was the leader, I guess, of his time, and brought Shmuel into this world to do that. So from here we learn, okay. Now, now he says, I know for sure that if this would have been the derech, from the time, if this would have been our way of handling things, ידעתי בטח שאם היינו עובדים בדרך זה מאז ומקודם, להשכיל את לב העם ולהודיעם מגודל המעלה שיש בחיבת הארץ ומהחמדלה. So know that if we would have held this idea of the belovedness of Eretz Yisrael and the importance of Eretz Yisrael, to bring that, to awaken the hearts and to bring the knowledge of it into the hearts of the nation, to make known this matter, for sure, just for that sake alone, we could be meriting Geula. If you would take it seriously as putting it on the agenda, that this is what we have to be talking about. So the Maggid of Beis Yosef, Yosef is Rav Yosef Karo. He had a Maggid, a Malach that came to teach him. As lo hayinu ba'im lidei davar shimatzu anashim, then if all of this would have happened, then we wouldn't come to a situation that Rav Techta now is talking about his time, where we hear anashim tmimim, innocent people, tehorei lev, pure of heart, even bnei Torah, that think that it's asur, that it's prohibited to speak public concerning the love of Eretz Yisrael, and that it's not allowed to hear sermons about this topic, as he felt through his own experience, that people didn't want him to come talk or say, listen, you're a big Talmud Chacham, we'd love you to talk, but just as long as you don't talk about that subject. And he says, how is it possible the Bnei Torah, Tmimim, Torei Lev, they could have such horrible opinion? And he's pinning it on their leaders. Where do they get such an attitude from? They're hearing it from somewhere. And more so, even to hear things that pierce the ears from hearing. What things that are piercing to hear, horrible things to hear? That the anger on our brothers, the children of Israel, he's talking about particularly Hungarian Jews, speaking about Polish Jews, that they got hit with the Holocaust because they held on to Zionist ideals. And they said that's why they got hit, because they were Osek in Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. V'shalken Yoshvei Ungarin, and that the people living in Hungary were saved at his time still. And then, of course, they came, right? The Nazis came because they wanted nothing to do with this whole concept of moving to Eretz Yisrael. And in my own years, I heard people say, Tmimim, innocent people, balabatim, like, religious people who are supporters of Torah, who have businesses, but are very plugged into the Torah world, of supporting the Gdolim, Pshutim Yerei Hashem, simple people that have Yirat Shamayim, that walk in a simple way, shlemus way, with Tmimim, V'gam Chasidim Balei Torah, and also of Chasidim that sit and learn Torah. Shehitchamemu ledaver al haoskim bechibat haaretz, that got angry about people who are spending their time speaking about the affection they have for Eretz Yisrael, v'shaftu mishpat ha'akum, and they brought corrupt judgment in this whole matter. And they didn't see, and they didn't recognize and feel about themselves that they mamash fell into the sin of the spies. Who were the spies? Tzadikim, Yerei Shamayim. And they came back and spoke bad about Eretz Yisrael. Better to stay in the desert. It's going to be a place that corrupts us. It's going to be a place that kills us. And these leaders and these people are in the same, they don't recognize that they're guilty of the same sin. And it's bad enough that we have the sin of the spies, that we have to still pay the debt of. But they're making it worse. They're adding fuel to the fire. They're making it grow big. They're making that sin greater and bigger. by them. Yeah.
Just ask, so, but what about like constructive criticism and like,
We're not talking about constructive criticism. There's place for constructive criticism. We're talking about, as a principle, does the land belong to the Jews? Do we have a right to live here? Is it a place? Is it the place for the Jewish people that is their natural home, also to be Jews in, living a life of Torah? There's so many mitzvot that we can only do in Eretz Yisrael. It's a portal for kedusha, for connection with Hashem, and even that they don't want to talk about. It's not a talk about how are we going to achieve the goal. They're saying don't even talk about it. It's not even a goal to achieve. It's not about somebody's working on settling the land. I don't like the way they're doing it. The approach of the Rebbes of Gur is that you don't like that the secular are taking charge of the institutions, then go and bring your influence to it. You be the ones building the infrastructure and bringing the Torah and your ruach, the spirit of Torah, into it. Don't complain about the land that it's in the hands of the secular if you, Haredim, don't want to have anything to do with it. Obviously, it's going to look like that. The conclusion has to be get involved, because it's a matter of importance. And what he's addressing is they're dismissing the whole point of it. Betom levavam, and in the innocence of their heart, they are making grow greater the anger of Hashem. Chas v'shalom. How do we know there's anger of Hashem in this? Well, look what happened to the Meraglim. They lost out at 40 years in the desert, Nebuch, right? So it's a matter to take seriously and not lightly, and not to be dismissed, and taken to heart, and draw the dots to your own speech and your own attitudes and your own approach to Eretz Yisrael. How is that not Cheder Meraglim? Hashem atov yechaper ba'adam ba'ad dibur zeh. And Hashem, the good God, should atone for them for all of this bad speech that they're speaking about. Don't wishing, it's like he's beside himself from worry for their sake, for their neshamas, because he sees that they're innocent, but they're so wrong. You're so off the path. You're so off the mark with this. Kirak mechamat iyediyatam, because it's only from their lack of knowledge that they speak like this. They don't realize how far-reaching their words are when they dismiss the whole discussion about settling the land of Israel. It's only this because they're lacking the knowledge in this subject. They haven't researched it properly. They're just parroting things that they heard as if it's Torah Hashem Sinai, and it isn't. So therefore it is incumbent and important to make known these things and to teach them this great principle. Because it's only in this way that the kilkul, that what was blemished, the damage done, this old damage of Chet HaMeraglim can be rectified. When we have to teach them to yearn and love and want so much to be in this land. And God forbid not to awaken any hatred, any bad feelings against, any bad talk against the settlers of the land of Israel. And now he's referring to no matter who they are, even if they're not Shomer Shabbos yet, whatever, but they're doing the mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. And in this way, we will be able to appease the face of Master Hashem, and we will merit the complete redemption speedily in our days. Amen. So that was 64. Now we're moving to 65. Now he says really gets even sharper here. Veda od achai. And know this more, my brothers. The devar ze lasot propaganda bad Eretz Yisrael, to do this whole concept of propaganda on behalf of, what's the nice word of saying propaganda? Now it's not, it's more, now we would call it hasbara, right? Advocating. Israel advocacy is, it's more of a current term than propaganda, because we associate propaganda with, with negativity. So it's not, it's brainwashing, but it's advocacy on behalf of Eretz Yisrael. So okay, if we want to rectify that which our forefathers spoiled, then the rectification has to be exactly as the blemish happened. Right. So let's say if you hurt Sally, you don't appease Nancy. You have to go to Sally to appease Sally if you appease her. And in the way that you hurt Sally, then you have to approach her in the opposite positive way of what that was. If with words, then rectify the situation with words. If it was something that you stole from her, then give it back. Whatever it is, in the manner in which the blemish happened, from there we learn what we need to do to rectify. So what is he saying here? So just as the propaganda, then the advocacy. Well, no. In this case, it's propaganda lera'ah, for the evil. Neged Eretz Yisrael, from the time of the Meraglim, that they spoke about against Eretz Yisrael. Who were they that spoke? Harashim v'mamanigei ha'edah, the leaders, the heads and the leaders of the congregation. Kmo chen ata, so too now. Who should be at the forefront of Israel advocacy? If we want to pay the debt owed by this sin, this great sin, that we should rip up this debt, this thing that's hanging over us. So it has to be from the people who are the heads of the congregation. They have to be the first ones to open the eyes of the nation and to speak to their hearts. In other words, what should they say? Why should we stay sunken in these countries of Galus? That are foreign lands to us, they're strangers, it's nothing to do with us. And polluted and muddied and polluted air. And just to throw our strength for nothing. We're bringing our blood, sweat, and tears to make the countries that we're settled in, the countries that don't belong to us, that don't even like us, we're making them, bringing prosperity to them by investing in these areas and making the economy grow. And for what? They're going to end up stealing your money, as happened so many times, kicking you out, taking everything from themselves. And in our own eyes, they steal our work. Let's talk about the time of Holocaust, and we know that this happened, and so many other places this happened. And for chadome and like these matters, these words, to speak to their hearts, to awaken within them fire and vezik and sparks of love for our beloved land. That in this matter in itself, if we would have that yearning and love for Eretz Yisrael and really understand that it's our place and want to be there, and do efforts on behalf of it, even if we're just in process and not yet moving. But this itself is something that we will merit geula from. As the Maggid of Beit Yosef said, and the Maharsha in Masechet Ta'anit, they also said this, and also as I brought from Bishmo, that it is through Jewish people loving the rocks and dust of the earth itself of Eretz Yisrael. We are mamash bringing close the time of Geula, just loving the land. והם יעשו את כל כלל ישראל כחבורה אחת בעד ארץ ישראל. And if they and using this mitzvah and the love that we're meant to have for Eretz Yisrael, Hashem it's a gift. Why is it's a matana? Hashem wants a promised land. This is the place that we were yearning for. This is the prize that we lost when we weren't behaving on the land. We didn't lose Torah. We lost the prize of being able to do Torah in Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is so key to the Geula of the whole entire world. And if we manage and use that as a mitzvah that will rally all of the Jewish people around this mitzvah, Ba'ad Eretz Yisrael, as Yishulam Chova Bisha. And in this way, we will be able to rectify that bad sin of the spies, that it's exactly that they did in the opposite direction, in the negative. They rallied the people, Bechdut, they got everyone to agree not to go to Eretz Yisrael. So what's the rectification? The leaders have to unite the Jewish people around this mitzvah. And if the leaders, thank you. And if the heads will neglect this, azai chas v'shalom merachefet aleim hasakana. The chas v'shalom, it's upon their heads that danger is circling around them. V'em yifar'u et halava ra'a zo she'az asu az. And they will be themselves the first ones to, that the debt will be asked of them to pay first. It's upon them. Mipnei she, I don't know what this says here. As it says in Choshen Mishpat, the shutafim shalavu me'echad. They're bringing a whole halachic sugya here that, let's say you have partners that borrow from somebody. Two partners in a business borrow from Reuven, okay? Now, when it comes time to collect the debt, it doesn't matter who he goes to. It could be to partner A or partner B. They both, in this way, Am Yisrael are partners with each other. The leaders of each generation have a partnership to continue leading the nation. So going all the way back to the leadership of the Meraglim, from the time of the Meraglim, every Jewish person who's in a position of leadership, the debt, the sin that was the affront that happened through by the Meraglim can be exacted from all the partners down the line. We're implicated. All leaders are implicated in this because every generation has to rectify, and every generation that doesn't see the Beis HaMikdash built in this time, it's as if they destroyed it. That's how it works. We are linked from one generation to another through our love of Torah, but also through the sins of one generation that haven't yet been rectified. It's still a blotch in the system that's obstructing light and blessing from coming. Okay. So this bad that the Meraglim did, and each and every generation, we're all in one chabura. It's one big group of people. As I brought in the Midrash, she says, Imken, Hoben as kushutafin, shalavu. I love the Yiddish when he brings it. We are all like shutafim, partners, that borrowed from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, who's Who's Reuven in the story in the Nimshal? It's Hashem that we have to owe him a debt. It was a debt owed to Hashem. There was an affront there. Im Ratzah Hashem Yitbarach Yuchal Ligvot, and then we can exact the debt from Klal Yisrael, from any generation. And Ba'ad Garmat Galut Merushim, but more so, who's implicated? The Rashim of Israel, the heads of the nation. Uvema Gam Az Garmu Halva'a Zora Karasham Vehem Ikrim, because they are the Iker that brought upon us this calamity, and it's upon them to repay. ובזה יובנו דברי רבינו האור החיים הקדוש in Parshat Behar, and he says the same things. When did Or HaChaim the Kadosh? 300 years ago in Morocco, and he brings us in this Perushim on Vayikra Kaf Hey. Is that the Parsha?
This week is
What chapter? Yeah, which chapter? What chapter is it? I'll be so excited if it is. Achremot. Where is it? I've got to find out. Okay, Google.
Google's the way.
What?
Google's the
Actually-
fastest way. You look it up.
Okay. 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 Here. באלו פרקים בספר ויקרא אחרימות קדושים. Actually, I'm actually asking GPT. Oh, here, the Senate. באלו פרקים. באלו
Should I take out much?
פרקים. We can. Ted Zayin to Yud Zayin. No, it's from 16 to chapter 19. Okay, we missed it by a week. It's probably okay. It's close. Okay, we're happy that it's close. It's Vayikra. It's close. It's a parsha before. Okay, that he's quoting here. No, after parsha after. Parsha Behar. Oh, it's so silly. It says he said Parsha Behar. It's not even. He said it right there. Okay. Anyway, sorry. So Or HaChaim HaKadosh says there, שכתב שמנהיגי ישראל שבכל דור עתידים ליתן את הדין עבור שעוד אנו שוהים בגלות. He says there, Mamish, I don't know what pasuk he's basing it on, but I want to look it up. If you want to look it up, Vayikra chapter 25, verse 25, that he wrote there that the leaders of the Jewish people in each and every generation, עתידים ליתן את הדין, will מה זה עתידים ליתן את הדין? Will
You have to be accountable.
Yes, thank you. We'll have to be accountable that we're still remaining in Galus. Because they had to, what they needed to do and they didn't do was to arouse the hearts of Am Yisrael in affection to the land. Wow, I want to know what that pasuk is. Okay, I'm so curious. Sorry. Where? Vayikra. Kaf Hey. כי ימוך אחיך ומחר מאחוזתו ובבא גואלו הקרוב אליו וגאל את ממכר אחיו. That if it has to do with if a person has to, for whatever reason, poverty, to sell his nachla because of poverty, there's a mitzvah that of a close relative should be goel, should redeem the land from him. Should be the one to purchase from whoever it was sold to and give it back, to make sure that it's always in the hands of the Jews. את השדה כדי להחזירה למשפחה, to bring it back to the family and to keep all the חלוקת ישראל המקוריות שנקבע בישראל. Okay. So we see how that, what did you want to say?
We have to be there for each other.
We have to be there for each other? Mamish, we have to be there for each other.
And not against
It's-
each other.
and not, we have to be for each other. A redeeming of the lands, which is the sovereign movement, is all about that, and all of the things that are going on.
Very hard. Both sides think that they are doing the redemption of the land in their own way.
When you have different
And they
approaches
have
of how
one
to,
side versus the other side.
which side you're
Yeah.
talking about? Talking about Jews against Jews or Jews against?
Jews against Jews.
Yeah,
Saying that even now you see.
yeah.
it
So
now.
that's the thing.
You know, you see, we're both carrying Israeli flags.
Right.
We're both demonstrating. We're both doing.
Except the other side is.
It's
wants
not about
to-
sovereignty.
it's not they believe in this two-state solution.
Yeah.
We should, and that's very.
It's not about redeeming the land. It's about let the Arabs have their land. They have a
That's
right to
right,
the land.
Let's give them what they want.
That's the difference.
Very
The
different.
approach that from what I thought you were going to, what I heard is like, are we gonna get it by force or we're gonna get it through diplomacy? Are we gonna pick up arms and just forcefully take it back from non-Jews, or are we going to wait in a more diplomatic and peaceful way to do it? Yeah, it seems, but that's a different. But the fact that it has to be redeemed and brought back to Jewish ownership, that's the key thing. How to do it? Okay, let the leaders figure it out, but the leaders have to figure it out, and it has to be at the agenda of the leaders, at the forefront of the leaders' minds. Like they have to think about it, they have to care about it, they have to put it on the agenda. Okay, so that was Orach Chaim. Interesting, that was Orach Chaim also. V'im Shuzal Katav Shachov al Menigei Israel, and so we see that he even Orach Chaim HaKadosh speaks about the debt having to be paid by the leaders. Beruchaniyut shiyu keda'in legula lehagbihan beruchaniyut. That the leaders, what they have to do, they have to raise the spirituality of the people. Because if you think that Eretz Yisrael is just lo shayach, you can live your Jewish life without it, and it's okay as long as you're doing your
Be a good person.
be a good person and eating kosher and everything like that. No, there's something lacking in your spirituality if you don't have Eretz Yisrael as that component in that, all of the good doings. Ayen Sham. He's sending us to look over there. I'm gonna open up the Vayikra over there after. But he himself said, and if they don't do it, then we're gonna suffer through all kinds of chevlei Mashiach, the turbulence, and no, the birth pangs, the painful birth pangs of bringing Mashiach into the world to make up for what we're not doing in tshuva.
It's such a difficult position because who's to say that let's say all those people who went through the Shoah, they didn't suffer enough and they're happy to be in a place where they don't have to be suffering. And I'm basing this on just this Friday night. I met a group of young people that they're a high school group in 12th graders. They live in Panama, and they were describing their life in Panama, how wonderful it is, how everybody's there. 15,000 people. They're all together and they're helping each other. And I just put out the question, like, what if they would all come to Eretz Yisrael? They said, no, like our grandparents, when they went to Panama, they were, they were from Aleppo, most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they had enough of being tortured and mentally, physically. And so this is what we're against. Like a lot of people went to America, Australia, wherever, and they were able to just breathe.
Yeah, but now can I just answer to that? That all the milchamot that we've had here in Israel from 48, Koma Medina, Ad Hayom Hazeh, 25,000 people were killed. In the few years of the Shoah, 6 million were killed. So that, so that it doesn't make sense that they should think that it's better.
What happens to them? What's
Right.
ours?
No, but it is a harder life here. You have to be willing to
But it's
live
the
in smaller
happiest-
quarters.
But it's a
I
happiest
know, but
society.
no, but we're just saying from a human story we can understand.
But it's a very
Then.
narrow
No,
of course,
vantage
yeah,
point.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm not.
Well,
really,
is
I'm not
is
saying-
it just a comment or a question that you have?
No, it was a comment. It was a comment that I'm forcing myself to really open up and feel with those people, but at the same time, Mama's doing everything I can, possibly to get people to know that this is their home. This is their home. They're not. We don't want to be at the neighbors where the grass is greener. We know
But
that
that's
that
exactly what this is talking about.
Yes, I know.
What
Edie?
That's what.
Judy's saying,
yeah.
Judy is giving an example of exactly what Rav Teichel was talking about.
It's
Is
better.
that,
Don't
you
go
know,
to
we're
Israel.
comfortable Chutz La'aretz, it's not as comfortable in Eretz Yisrael. But irregardless of the fact that it's not so comfortable in Eretz Yisrael, dafka you need to come home to Eretz Yisrael to build it here so
So
that
it
it
should
is
be-
more
So that-
comfortable
yes.
here.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
Okay.
we use
that-
all our resources, Chutz La'aretz, to make that land comfortable, not this land.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
he's saying. Why are you
that's what
spending
he's
all your
saying.
resources
Yeah,
and investments
right.
and everything to build it up? Meanwhile, then what do you have to show for it at the end? Pogroms,
6 million.
6 million. Okay, so let's
Yeah.
And that's what you're asking, Judy, is how do you get a community that's living comfortably in Panama with lots of good restaurants, et cetera, where they don't feel persecuted, to recognize that it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
And it's also a brutal society. There's South America, Latin America.
it's Central America. Panama is
Yeah,
Central America. no?
Yeah, but there are so
Yeah,
many
okay.
cartels in those
We
places.
don't
Dangerous.
we don't
place.
want to see.
They don't want to see.
We don't want them to have a rude awakening. We want to wish them well, and they should
Yeah.
come with sweetness and from their own
And bring
with
their
a
money
red zone and bring your money here. Okay, so it's the theme seems to be is leadership. Where is the leadership? And it's them that have to take the lead in this. And if there's going to be an exacting of the debt, it's going to be the leaders that are going to have to pay the price. A minute. And I was talking about the Holocaust, that since the time of Israel became a nation, we did not suffer such a horror as this Holocaust. He's saying, so now we see, why is he bringing this? Because he says, according to what Orachaim Kadosh, was it Orachaim Kadosh? Or the Maggid? Abis Yosef, I forget. I think it looks like it's the Maggid.
He's saying
That what we don't do with seichel, suffering will come to clean the debt. But he's saying now we have a double hurt here because people are still cutting people off when they want to speak about Eretz Yisrael and don't want to hear it and they're speaking bad about it. Plus, we have the suffering. We have the tshuva of the suffering that comes from suffering. That's lo chaser lanu. Rak zot chaser. So what's missing? Chemdat v'chibat ha'aretz shebishvilanu b'im la'aretz, to come back to do the thing that the tshuva is needed for, to raise the love of Eretz Yisrael in people's hearts and to return to the land and build it, as the Maggid and the Maharsha said. Okay, so now he's quoting from Parshas Balak. And if Am Yisrael will not do tshuva, then the geula will come, but derech hateva. In natural order of things, like natural how things unfold historically and naturally. And we know that nature works slow and painful. for a seed to become a tree. Uy, what it has to go through, and how much it has to start decay and survive to finally see fruits from the seed, a tree bearing fruits. Oy, right? V'imken kamonu hayom, and so too today. We cannot bring the world to tshuva as we see, because the suffering is upon us and people are still not doing tshuva for this. Okay, he's bringing an opinion from Yalkut, Midrash Yalkut. Rav Yehuda says that Israel will not do tshuva until Eliyahu Navi comes, and Eliyahu Navi is the precursor to Mashiach. So we see that we kind of missed the boat for the Geula coming any other way except through the natural unfolding of history. If that's the case, it is upon the Jewish leadership to flame the hearts, to make grow, to excite the hearts of Am Yisrael to take part in the Geula, to take part in bringing the Geula closer, through the normal channel of things of how a person conducts himself naturally. To go through natural means of, we're not going to forget about the eagle wings that are going to bring us from who knows where, land us in Eretz Yisrael with a miraculous Beis Hamikdash descending from the sky. It's going to go through natural means. We missed that boat already for that type of thing. It has to be with Derech HaTeva. What's Derech HaTeva? You have to move to the land of Israel and build it and make it inhabitable, etc. Because we do not merit the miracles to happen. Only miracles that are clothed within Teva. In other words, it's still an S, but it's garbed through our doing. I have to pick up a rake and plow and whatever agriculturists do. I get in trouble every time I try to bring those.
It's not your forte.
It's not my forte. You know what I mean, though? Fill in the blanks.
Do farm work.
Thank you so much. Doing farming, that's so much simpler. Keep me out of trouble. Okay, but it's still a miracle, even though it looks like a farmer's doing his thing, but the fact that the produce is growing and just being there all together, holding a plow. Did I get that right? Okay. It's still nest. Okay. Gam melubash beteva. It's a nest, but melubash beteva. Oh, now he's bringing our favorite Levi Yitzchak Bertuchev in Kedushas Levi, where he says something like this: so the debt has to be mefarnesei hador, the ones who can make this known, who have the mics close to their mouth, like they can broadcast this. They're in a position of leadership. Le'ametz kol Yisrael, to bring. To adopt all the hearts of Israel, to help pay the debt that Am Yisrael did in the generation of the Meraglim, b'shutfut. So it's not only the leadership. What did the Meraglim do? They were leaders that got the Jewish people all together to band together against them. So it's not just the leaders. It has to be everyone together, all of Am Yisrael. But it starts with the leaders that have to bring the hearts of the people to it. That's how we're going to get b'chubura achat. We need good leadership. דהוויין כשותפים של אבין, דנעשים ערבים זה זה, ואם רצה מזה, מה כבר? Okay, וגם כאן כל אחד מישראל ערבי. So every Jew is implicated, and we have the debt to pay for the redemption, for this bitter, long, gullus, וביותר ערבים, but more so than anybody else are the manhigim, because they have to correct us. שמהם יצא הלוואה הרעה, okay, etc. וכן כתב הגאון שר התורה מדווינסק, in Kuntrus Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, v'zeh leshono, b'frat ha'geonim ha'yishvim be'olei ha'Torah, especially the geonim, the geniuses that are sitting. You know, everyone's a gaon, Rav.
But he was a Gaon, isn't that?
No, of course.
Was a Gaon.
Yeah, but he's saying, but more so than any gaon, katav hagaon Sarah Torah Midvinsk, especially who has to take the mantle of this? Hageonim ha'yushvim ba'olei Torah, the geniuses, the geonim that are sitting in the tents of Torah, v'chokhmah and wisdom, on their al kisot harabanut lemukometeim, on the chairs of their rabbinate that they're sitting on, in the positions of power. Hashem yarichem mehem, Hashem should lengthen their days. It is upon them the obligation and the mitzvah to make known and publicize this mitzvah, this beloved mitzvah, this great supernal high and very deep mitzvah that nogat, that touches at the heart and the core of kiyum haTorah, of doing all of Torah, v'tchunat kol umutenu, and the trait, the uniqueness of our nation, that because of the unbearable length of galus, that it became forgotten from the hearts of many, and so many are still stubborn and publicly go against this mitzvah. And the error in this of the ones who are stubborn, the stubbornness and the error will not be solved easily, speedily, if the rabbis, the Gaonim, will not wake up themselves through their power of deen that they have and persuasion powers, because people listening to them, there's das Torah, to separate them from this error, from this false thinking and approach. It's 11:01. We didn't finish. To be continued. We have just one small little paragraph in this, but it's going to take more than a few minutes because there's a whole big long footnote to this, so it's actually another whole long page. So thank you for joining. Come again. To be continued. It's not this, yeah.
Very interesting, because if I had my way and I could pick the leaders of this country.
Moshe Fleigman.
Yeah, but I was going to add something new that you haven't heard me say. I would get him to be consulting with Rabbi Beryl Wine.
Oh, he's a good one also.
Yeah,
because he's got heart and he's got the commitment.
And he's brilliant.
And he's brilliant. Shia Bari, so she live for a long life.
He's old and he's wise. And Talmid Chacham.
So write to Moshe Fleigman to or to Beryl Wine.
You know, Rabbi Beryl Wine, he's not political, he won't. You know,
right.
He has.
Okay.
He said something so succinct and clever. He said, the leadership that got us into this war, I don't trust them to get us out of this war. That's all he said. He's so wise. Yeah.
Because clearly
so
there's faulty thinking in here.
I love Rabbi Beryl Wine.
Wow, yeah. So is there a hashtag, a summary statement that I could put on the YouTube clip when I make it public? We have a donor that charged me with that job. Okay. Baruch Hashem, thank God.
Moshe, where are you?
No, it has to be more like with the content. What would be like a summary? You're good with that, Tahir.
Yeah, let me look at my notes and see what I wrote down. Something like beloved Eretz Yisrael. I don't know, these are just phrases. Rectify the sin of the spies.
Right. That should be, it should have leadership, Jewish leadership, and sin of the spies in it. But how do we
waiting for strong leadership. Waiting for strong leadership.
Still sin of the spies, still waiting for strong leadership. Yeah. Okay, that works for me. Does it work for you? Yeah. Say it that way? Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much. Kol Tuv. Love you. See you next week.